Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Imogen Cohen about the Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder, on Nickelodeon and streaming on Paramount Plus. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, it's pretty crazy because I feel like there's familiar territory and unfamiliar territory. Fairly OddParents is a really classic Nickelodeon show, arguably one of the greatest Nicktoons of all time. Then they kind of have this live action with all these different characters. What is that mindset joining a show like this, knowing that there is familiar territory, but you're not sure about these new characters, basically?
Yeah, well, when I got the audition, I was not familiar with Fairly OddParents. So, when I got the call back, I had to do my research. So I watched a couple episodes and I immediately realized why this show was just so iconic.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of differences between the shows, but there's a lot of similarities. Like, it's the same Wanda and Cosmo, same Dimmsdale, same like magical aspect. But I think the difference between the two shows is that the old one is all about Timmy, and he doesn't have really a great relationship with his parents. They're kind of in their own world and they're kind of out of his life. And his only parent figures are probably Wanda and Cosmo. And in the new show, it's all about relationships. Like Viv and Roy, the main characters' parents, are super supportive of them. And and I think that the whole show is just about family relationships and friendships.
Absolutely. How much did you know about the character, like when you audition, like audition process wise? Like, did you audition for the character that you got on the show?
Yeah.
How much did you know about it? Like, what did they tell you about it? Did you know it was Fairly OddParents, like a live action?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay.
But Xena, I had so much room to grow with Xena. Like, there's so much you can do with a character like this. The director of the first episode, Mike Karen, always gives the best advice. And one of the things he said was, always make bold choices. And that's exactly what I did with Xena. I created different voices, different attitudes, different walks, different accents. And eventually, Xena was born.
Absolutely. What was one of your favorite things about going and actually filming the series? Besides, I mean, I'm sure it was really fun, like getting together with everyone and doing it. But like, anything else specifically really loved about shooting this show specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great experience getting to work with like big Broadway stars like Laura Bell Bundy. I mean, at first I was so nervous to work with her because I knew that she was going to have a big part in this. And I was like, I'm going to see her almost every day. But she was so down to earth and I really had no reason to be nervous because her and Leslie Margarita, another big Broadway star,
Yep.
who I really look up to, were just so nice and down to earth.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about this because it's one of my favorite things about the show. So Tyler Waldes, who plays Roy, one of my favorite things about the show is Roy has his squad, right? And they have the chants, the Roy chants. I think the Roy chants might be like one of my favorite things ever in like a TV show. Like everyone, like his fans just going, Roy, 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 Roy.
Yeah.
What is your like, what do you say when you see things like that in the script? Like, there's so many goofy, funny things. Like, what's that like seeing them in the script and then seeing it actually like on film specifically?
Yeah, I think that the best part of the entire show is how like goofy it is and how it doesn't take itself very seriously. And things like that are just so hilarious. And I think that the best thing about the show is that you can live vicariously through these characters, and you might not have like a crazy life like Dimmsdale, but you can live vicariously through it.
Absolutely. What is your favorite thing about being a storyteller and an actor? Is it diving into all these different worlds? Is there something you like about it the most?
Yes, for sure. I think my favorite thing about being a character is making the character like
That's a good answer. Yeah.
yeah, I love like being in the process of making these different characters, and kind of like Xena, how she creates her different characters in her own magical fantasy world. I kind of do that in my acting.
Absolutely. Did you know that storytelling was something you wanted to do? Or was it kind of like something that just kind of happens?
Yeah, I mean, from a very young age, I was like, I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I was the kid who was all whenever there was like a street performer or musician, I would always be dancing along to their music. And I was always like a big performer, and I've always wanted to be an actor.
Did you notice that the pace of Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder, you look at a lot of these characters and it's not all like slapstick, goofy stuff. Like there's some kind of
Yeah,
cool, like there's some feel good moments, there's some heartfelt moments,
for
but it
sure.
is very quick pace, like the cartoon. Did you notice that in the script as well? It's pretty fast pace.
Yeah, it's so fast paced, and there's like a million things happening at the same time. But that's a really great thing about it. And also you said that there is, so much heart to it as well. And I think that's like such a great thing about the show.
Could you tell people about your character's storyline specifically, not about the character, but in terms of like who she's kind of involved with the most on the show? Like, what can you tell us about the situation your character is in?
So my
Because I'm sure
character,
you've done a lot of interviews like talking about the character, about what she is, but what about kind of the situations that she gets herself into?
my character Xena is the next door neighbor girl.
Yep.
And she's definitely not the next door neighbor girl type, but she is deeply in love with Roy. I mean,
Right. Sorry.
she's in love with Roy, and the love is not reciprocated, but that doesn't stop her from believing that they are soulmates.
You
And
said that so calmly. That was like that was so good. The way you said that. Sorry.
um,
That was well done. Yeah. No, the love it's not mutual. Let's just say
yeah,
that.
it's definitely not mutual. Um, but she will believe that they are soulmates till the day she dies.
Mhm.
And then she's best friends with Viv. When Viv moved to town, she was kind of a loner. She was having a lot of trouble fitting in, but Xena saw that and she was like, I need a new friend too. So I want to be friends with this girl. Also because Viv is Roy's stepsister. And that was part of it, but I think mostly it was because Viv needed a new friend.
Who does Xena have a crush on? What character?
Roy.
Right. No, it's so good. Obviously, Darren and Susan doing Cosmo and Wanda. I mean, you don't see them because they're doing the characters and everything. Did you have a chance to like meet them? Like, were they around at all, or did they do all their stuff in like the studios?
No, I didn't get a chance to meet them, but I mean I would love to meet them. They're so funny and just so great. But we did work with these cardboard cutouts during when we were rehearsing of Wanda and Cosmo. And I mean, I didn't get to interact with the fairies, but Audrey and Tyler did. And I was just like, how are you looking at nothing? But I mean, it's so impressive, really.
When did it start kind of hitting you that the show was going to come out on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus? Like, was it like when it was like announced? Was it like the release day? Like, when did it start kind of sinking in, Imogen?
Well, I knew from the beginning that it was going to be on Paramount
Yeah.
Plus. I hadn't done anything in the past, so I really didn't know how big of a deal that was. And it kind of hit me around like episode 3 or 4 that like I am not replaceable. Like I'm going to be in this, and I mean, it was just so crazy for me.
So,
Flabbergasted.
besides acting and storytelling, what are some other interests and hobbies that you like doing specifically?
Well, obviously I love singing and dancing,
Yeah.
but I love roller skating as well. And I played this game called The Sims 4. I'm a real big simmer. And yeah, I mean, I go to school as
So, if
well.
there's a project about roller skating, you're in. If there's a project about
Yeah,
Sims 4, you're in, right?
sure.
For all the casting directors out there, if there's anything roller skating. And I feel like it's just kind of one of those things where if it's a roller skating show that you get to play Sims 4, I feel like that's like the dream project
Yeah,
right now.
that's the dream project for sure.
Well, last question before we wrap up. When they get a chance to watch the Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus, what are you hoping they get out of it takeaway-wise?
Well, I mean, there's so many great lessons told in this, but I think that the main lesson is be careful what you wish for. Like if you're given the opportunity to get whatever you want, be careful with what you wish for.
Absolutely. I hope we can one day see the Dinkelberg, the neighbor, back in like some of the characters. Like that was the first thing that came to mind. Like they do a great job of bringing back characters from like the show. But like, there's been so many characters from the original show that I'm like, what would they look like at live action?
Yeah.
That was like the best. But yeah, no, this was so great. Imogen, thank you for joining me on Pop Turn. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you too.
Absolutely. And yeah, so Paramount Plus streaming season 1, all episodes, I believe, right? All episodes are streaming now, or are they still coming out week after week?
Paramount Plus, it's all on Paramount Plus, but every week it's streaming on Nickelodeon.
Absolutely. And your Instagram account, is it just your name if people want to keep update with everything?
It's Imogen_Cohen, but yeah, it's my name.
Pretty much. Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turnitive, youtube.com/Pop Turnitive for previous episodes. Till next time, this is Imogen Cohen from the Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube. Be sure to like Pop Turnitive on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.